Go and do likewise. Dear brothers and sisters, this is Reshma. Welcome to Indian Catholic Ministry. Today's Gospel reading is from Luke chapter 10 verses 25 through 37. Jesus calling all of us to spread good news in how we live our life. A lawyer stood up to test Jesus. He said, "What shall I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said, "What is written in the law? How do you read?" Jesus knows that this person is a lawyer. So that's why he asks, "How do you read?" The lawyer replies, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." Jesus said to him, "You have answered right. Do this and you will live." But the lawyer, decided to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replies in parable. Parable is a short story about everyday life. Often people think that Jesus is the only person used parable in the Bible. Actually, we could see parables both in Old Testament and New Testament. And generally the parables in Old Testament and among Jewish people, parables are used to illustrate. So when Jesus used parables, it wasn't a surprise at all to those people. But what made difference is Jesus's parable, Jesus's way of storytelling, it challenged the people to think more deeply about the issues. And Jesus's parable also helps us to, he points us to in a direction of understanding how God works. So Jesus's parable is timeless, and today's parable is the Good Samaritan. So there is a man who is going from Jerusalem to Jericho. This man is going alone, and thieves beat him up. They took everything, leaving him half dead. First, Jewish priest was going down the same road. When he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Second, Levite come along. When he saw him, passed by on the other side. Later, Samaritan saw him, had compassion, and went to him. Let us all reflect, pray, and act on today's gospel. The wounded person is Jewish. Two people who walked by were also Jewish. The one who was moved with compassion is Samaritan. He is actually labeled as not true Israelite, or he is labeled as half-breed. Let's look into priest and Levites' action. They passed by on the other side. So it could be because they do not want to get their clothes and hands dirty, or they were afraid. That still those thieves might be hiding and they might attack if they go near him, or it can be a trick. So the bleeding man himself, a thief, tricking them. So when we looked into all these possibilities, the action the priest and Levite took is all based on fear. They were afraid, or they felt disgusted about the wounds, or they felt superior about themselves, or they were upset or something. So, and above all, no one is looking there. No one is looking at them to comment or judge on the way the actions they took on seeing the wounded person. they passed by on the other side. So both priest and Levite thought about what will happen to them if they go and help this half-dead person. On the other hand, Samaritan saw this half-dead man. He had compassion. He went to him. He cleaned his wounds. He poured wine and oil. He bandages and he gave him a ride. So Samaritan has to walk. So Samaritan, he did not think about if people are watching at him, looking at him when he helped this man. All he had is compassion. He even take it very personally. Like in verse 35 says, the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back. So he did what he can. So Samaritan takes the man's condition and the environment he was in very seriously, and he addressed it very gracefully. So he removed the man from the current situation in his own possible way and gave his time and resources, treated him with respect and kind. Samaritan, the good Samaritan, thought what will happen to him if he do not help this half-dead man. Both Samaritan, the good Samaritan, and the wounded man helps us to remind who we really are. We are God's children. God asking us to spread His message in how we live our life. Our daily choices and actions reduces or increases poverty and cruelty in this world. Whether to create a community or chaos lies on how well we care for one another. Go and do likewise. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe this channel by clicking on that subscribe button and share this video with your friends, family and community. Give thumbs up. Go and do likewise.